Broadcasting from the Merritt Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today are my wonderful colleagues, Big Richard Martin and Gator Gates. Fellas, the college basketball conference tourneys are finished, and the 68-team NCAA tournament has already begun. What were the most significant results from last week?
Well, Joe, we have to go over the conference winners here. We'll go over the power conference winners. And why is that important, Joe?
Because if you win your conference regular season, you have a very good chance of winning the national championship.
Correct.
But not necessarily your conference tournament.
Right. And so we're going to go over these tournaments because was it only two out of the last eight?
Yes.
2 out of the last 8 actually won their tournament and then turned around and won the national championship. And we can go, I think it was only 5 teams since 2010 have won their conference tournament and then won the national championships. So there's some good information when you're filling out your bracket. So let's go ahead and go with the Big Ten. Purdue, got by Penn State, but a valiant effort by the Nittany Lions. They came back. They were down by over 10 points in the first half and came down to 1 point. But
they were down like 16 with about 6 minutes left.
Right. And I was thinking that my Purdue -8 was a solid bet. And But the good news is they didn't have to take the ladder out for Zach Edey because he could cut down the nets without climbing on the ladder. So that was nice for him. So Purdue gets the win, and they're the East #1 seed. ACC, Duke pretty much handled business. Was over Virginia. Didn't seem like Virginia even had a chance in that game. Seemed like they had a control of that the whole time. So if you have Duke in your brackets, beware. All right. So Memphis, as we predicted on the show, would beat Houston. And
that was a really nice call.
That was a great call, but I didn't know that Sasser was going to get hurt. But I think that had a big part of it. But Memphis are very athletic, and they can go deep in the tournament because of their athletic ability, because speed never has a slump. You can have a slump shooting, but if you play good defense and you are fast and you play rebound well, you can go far. They usually don't slump in those areas. But the Houston Cougars, #1 seed, #1 favorite to win the whole tournament, went down in Memphis. Memphis beat them. Let's go to VCU. They beat Dayton. That was a good game, close game. Dayton was up by 5 at halftime. It looked like they had that under control. We talked about the Dayton Flyers, but VCU was obviously the favorite to win that, and they did. Alabama took care of the SEC, and they took care of Texas A&M. Texas A&M just shot lights out the day before, couldn't miss at all, and then plays Alabama, and Brandon Miller had a great game, and Alabama looks like a very solid team for your brackets. And then we can go to Arizona. Barely got by the injured UCLA. They had Bono was out with his shoulder injury, and that's very important to when you do your brackets on UCLA. They're a very, very good team, but have some injury problems there. Is Carter there? Carter was the defensive player of the year for UCLA, and then ends up now he's not going to be able to play in the tournament with I think he has a Achilles tendon injury.
So he's completely out.
He's completely out. Bono, we don't know for sure. And did you have who had the Big East?
Marquette.
And I picked Xavier would doing that, but Marquette came through. They were the #1 seed and looked very good. I do have some questions on their defense. I think that they get out rebounded a lot also. So we'll see how far they go in the bracket.
And Big 12, we had Texas.
Yes, and that was a big surprise on Texas over Kansas. I mean, it was a double-digit victory, and I think they won by 20 actually.
Yeah. So Kansas 2 times in a row.
Right.
So
Texas, the Longhorns, they're peaking at the right time.
Right.
So the Mountain West, should we go over that? Because the Mountain West has never won even been to past the Sweet 16, I don't think ever. So I think that was one of the. So if you have them going deep, I think Gator, you have San Diego State going deep, right?
Mm-hmm. At least winning the first 2.
win the first two. So they never got past the Sweet 16. So that would be something if they get past that.
It'd be something, all right, because last year they had 4 teams in the tournament and none of them won a game.
Exactly.
So now we need one of them to win 2.
Right. Well, maybe Nevada can win tonight, and they can give us a play-in game.
That counts.
Okay. And we're going to talk about the play-in games before we get going, guys. Okay. Play-in games. 8 out of the last 10 play-in games, after getting to the tournament, they played it and won. 8 out of the last 10 won their first game. Is that sink or swim?
No, well, what's that?
Sink.
You're sinking.
8 out of the last 10 did.
8 out of the 10 have won their playing game and then won their first round of the NCAA tournament.
I doubt that very much because you got a lot of 16 seeds playing 16 seeds. So I would say no.
It's 8 out of the last 10 have won their first game in the tournament. So when they do, they also had 11. So 8 out of the first 10. How many of those teams, Joe, out of those 8 teams that did make it after playing the playing game, how many of those made it to the Final Four? How would you say?
2.
Well, playing games, let's see.
And then made it to the
Chicago,
right.
Maybe Virginia Commonwealth 1 year, George Mason.
It's VCU and UCLA.
Oh,
and so that's a good stat to know that if you do your playing game, you have an 80% chance of out of the last 10 years, you have an 80% chance of getting past the first round.
That's amazing.
well, as an 11 seed, I would say.
Yes, but
Yes.
yeah, don't be playing the playing games. We don't think. So if we said Fairleigh Dickinson, right?
Yeah. I thought
right.
we were counting the 16.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry about
Yeah.
that.
So, Phelan Dickinson, their average height is 6'2" for their basketball team. Their first round, if they do win tonight, they will be playing Purdue. Zach Edey is 7'4", so that is quite a height disadvantage for everybody on your team.
Well, one guy can stand on another guy's shoulder.
and still be taller.
Guard eating.
So there's some good information to know about if you are having if you don't think Purdue's going to get past the first round, I'm thinking it's pretty solid. They will get past the first round. But
Okay.
all right, so the tournament's on us, guys. You guys have any upset picks for us?
Well, I've got some picks. Gator, do you want to start off though?
Okay, well, like you said, San Diego. I do like San Diego winning both their first 2 games.
They're coming in off Creighton, and that's a 5-12.
Exactly.
At 5-12, historically, there's where the upsets come from, and no 5 seed has ever won the tournament.
But that's okay because this tournament, it has a ton of upsets, and everybody that's not taking upsets, you might as well rip up your brackets before it even starts.
You're telling me
We're all gonna wrap up about that
anyway, by dinner time tomorrow, everybody's bracket will be in the trash.
So the way that I picked them, I was going for some big upsets.
Mhm.
Okay, I like it because every time I fill out my bracket, I try to fill out multiple brackets, and they always look the same. So I don't know why I fill out multiple brackets.
Should we start in the South? Seeing
Okay.
how San Diego State is in that
Yes.
bracket. We're looking at the big tournament now, South region. What first round games look good? Look like good bets to you?
Well, it's being played in Birmingham, so Alabama has a huge home court advantage there. So I do like that, but I'm going to say with Charleston, another 5-12. I'm going against Gator. I'm going to take the 12. I'm going to take the dog on that. They have a guy who's 6'11" from Croatia, and they have 4 of their 5 starters average double points. Very solid team. They have a great record of 31-3. So I think they could upset San Diego State, but San Diego State is in the top 3. If you put their last 3 seasons together, then they're top 3 in the nation of the last 3 years. So they're playing very good basketball consistently out there. But it's in Orlando, Florida. They're going all the way across the country. So I'm gonna take the dog. I'm gonna take Charleston. I'm taking Charleston.
Okay.
Anything else you like in there, guys?
Well, my thing would be Alabama because I don't like the off-field stuff in any sport because in any sport, all the off-field stuff hurts you somehow, some way. So I do have Alabama winning the first one, but I don't think they're going to get past West Virginia. I think I'm taking West Virginia over Alabama.
Oh, that's brutal.
Huge. You're breaking up my bracket already there, Gator. All right. So,
I'm taking all the upsets.
90% of brackets.
right. So yeah, I think 33% of the people have Alabama. The brackets on the mothership have them winning the whole thing. Alabama's a heavy
Oh,
favorite.
wow. Okay.
But I think Arizona has the toughest route of all number 2 seeds. I mean, they're coming off on the bottom of that bracket. They're going to have to go through Utah State or Missouri. That'll probably be one of the best games that we'll see on the first day. That's a great matchup there. Utah State has great greatly coached, kind of like St. Mary's. Have very good shooting. They shoot pretty close to 40% from the 3-point land. And, Missouri has great backcourt also, and can score a lot of points. So Arizona's going to have one of those two in just the second round. And then they're going to have Baylor or NC State coming out of the other way from the bracket. So Arizona has a very, very tough road to get to the Final Four, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Any other first round bets for either of you guys? I've got a couple of my own. Okay,
let's see what you got.
Oh, right. Well, I guess it's my turn. Well, I'm always looking for upsets in the first round. It's just more fun that way. And of course, there's always going to be upsets. And I do like conference champions because they're representing their entire conference. It's just one team, and there's something to that. And I'm with Big Rich here, College of Charleston, plus 5.5 against San Diego State. Sorry, Gator, we outnumbered you there, but
that's okay. I'm sure you guys did.
But they can win and not cover. Mm-hmm. So we're taking the 5.5. Charleston can score. San Diego State relies mainly on defense. Like I said, Mountain West, 4 teams, big dance last year. How'd they fare? They all lost. So it would be, yeah.
What about Princeton? What about Princeton and Arizona?
I'm not thrilled about Princeton. I like to look at, how these conferences have done lately in the tournament, how strong they are, how they compare. And Princeton didn't look too favorable to me. But I was looking at Furman plus 5 against Virginia. I like the Southern Conference. Last season, Tennessee Chattanooga lost by 1 to Illinois. Just about pulled off that upset. 2019, Wofford won a game. The Southern has covered their first round game 4 years in a row.
Wow.
So they don't.
So you're telling me we have a streak. Great information there.
Mm-hmm.
Furman, change your brackets.
The Paladins. So
yeah, we could have Charleston and Furman. You're saying in the round 32 is what you're telling me. You could.
You could very well. Last year we had St. Peter's and whoever they played in the second round. That was a huge upset.
Yeah, St. Peter's was a big upset. I mean, they've got past. They had a great season.
I think we had like a 15 and a 11 or something in that Sweet 16 right there. So, and the other one, UC Santa Barbara plus 10 against Baylor. The Big West Gauchos 2 years ago lost by 1. In 2019, UC Irvine actually won a game. The Big West has covered its first round game 3 consecutive tournaments. So those are my 3 picks against the spread.
And Baylor is one of those teams that rely on the 3-point line. So if they get cold, they'll be definitely beatable.
Okay. So who do you have coming out of the South, I guess, in your bracket?
Well, I have Alabama all the way. I mean, I think Alabama is the strong team. So I'll have Alabama representing the South. But we'll get more into that. I think we can go a little bit more for next week's show. But okay, but we'll pick who you're going to come out of the South.
Well, I think we're going to have to make a national championship prediction anyway. Okay. We are filling out brackets and helping people.
Hopefully, give so much information out here. Hopefully. And it shows you that the smartest person that watches the most basketball and does it will have his first one to tear up his bracket usually, and the one that likes the colors and likes the the name of their mascot will probably have a better bracket.
Well, some people like to fill out their brackets backwards too, so maybe they might fill out their Final Four first and then work it on their way back.
It's a great way to do.
So, anyway, let's move on to the East Regional.
Let's move to the East.
What are your point spread selections or observations?
Well, I love Purdue. Like I told you, I mean, I think Purdue, I think you can just go, I think they're going to be like 17, 18 point favorites. And if they're playing against the Oompa Loompas from, I have to say that.
Barry Dickinson.
Or the only way
Dick, as it says on the sheet.
Yeah, that's the wrong sheet there, everybody. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Fit it all.
Can't fit Dickinson in there, so just put Dick. That's really great. All right, so anyway, that should tell you that you should be betting on Purdue. No, I like Memphis. I think Memphis is, like I said, if Memphis could probably be one of those 32 teams if they played Purdue, could be Purdue.
I have them being Purdue.
Absolutely. Gators got it that way because, they're so athletic, they're fast, and the only way to beat Eddie is make sure you get down the court before he gets down there. So, and they have been beat in the past in the Big Ten. They've had several losses in the Big Ten, so they are beatable for sure. But I think Memphis, had coming off a big high of Houston, also might have a hard time with Florida Atlantic. They
no
won.
bargain
That's
there.
no bargain at all. Right there, Florida Atlantic is 31-3.
That's
So, and then just dominated their tournament, dominated their league all year. So,
if that happens, I think Purdue would win.
okay,
Okay.
good choice. And then the 5-12 seed, Duke and Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts had a win. They got to the Sweet 16 a couple years ago.
Final 8.
Final 8, yes. So, they definitely have the caliber. They're 30-4. It's a great record. But I think everybody loves Duke. Duke's running a 9-game win streak, and they're playing their best basketball right now, besides maybe Texas. I mean, they're definitely looking good. The blue bloods of the college wants to see the Duke go deep, so people will watch more. But everybody loves the upsets.
I think that Duke will beat the first one, but can they beat Tennessee if Tennessee beats Louisiana? I do have Duke beating Tennessee, but I'm not confident on that.
Well, it's tough to be confident on just about anything.
Well,
this
but I
bracket,
think those two are too tight.
Yeah. Tennessee has got the potential, kind of inconsistent there a little bit.
Correct. That's why I said Duke.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you got Kentucky and Providence. I think Kentucky shouldn't have any problems with Providence. And then, the USC Michigan State game is interesting.
Should be a hell of a game.
Right. Both disappointing with their seasons. They both were predicted to do better in their leagues, but especially Michigan State. With 19-12 losses, Michigan State is unheard of usually. And then you got Marquette as the number 2. I think that's probably the weakest number 2 that we have in here. So I'm not thinking Marquette gets very far.
Well, I think that I got Marquette beating Michigan State, but again, you're right. Michigan State again has all those losses.
Right.
And Marquette is, like you said, is the weak number 2. I'm still going to take Marquette.
Favorite in the conference tournament and won it. Marquette actually following through.
They are. Great coach. Used to be the coach of Texas, and
Smart.
Smart, yeah. Great coach, and he's very, very good with his kids.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
You got any more picks in the East?
That's it for me. I'm
okay.
I'm gonna stick with that.
Well, Gator?
Yeah.
You got any more picks in the East? Any point spread picks?
Didn't look at point spreads.
Okay.
I was just filling out my bracket.
Okay.
But I just think that Duke's way underrated. You guys brought that up. I just think they're way underrated.
Okay.
I like them better.
Since you mentioned that, my first pick, I'm taking Oral Roberts plus 6.5 against Duke. No guts, no glory here. I know. Duke has lost only one game all season when healthy, and the Blue Devils are healthy right now and playing great. But I have to love a team that swept their conference and their tourney. I think they went like 21-0 in the conference.
Yes.
And remember, like you said, 2 years ago, Oral Roberts went all the way to the Elite 8. It's a tough draw, obviously, getting Duke.
And the 5-12, the 12s are.
I know.
That 12 seed.
And the other 5s are San Diego State, St. Mary's, and Miami. I would have loved it if Oral Roberts was playing anybody but Duke out of those. But they got hosed on that deal.
Well, they're going to have to take down Goliath right off the bat. So, if they get past that, then they could be.
That opens things up.
Open things up. You start knocking some of the blue bloods off, and then you get some easier games down the line for your final run.
Yep, that'd be something. I'm going to have to fill out more than one bracket. It's going to be a tough one. So Kansas State minus 8.5 against Montana State. One of the few favorites I'm going to take. Maybe I think I only have like 2 favorites I'm going to take on the show. Montana State lost by 35 in last season's tournament to Texas Tech. You have to go all the way back to the 2010 tourney to find a Big Sky team that lost by less than 9.
Wow.
Since then, their spread record is 2-9, the Big Sky.
Okay, so Big Sky.
Kansas
We're not
State.
big on the Big Sky.
Not big on the Big Sky at all. And Vermont plus 11 against Marquette. I know we've been talking how good Marquette is, but the Catamounts of Vermont, they lost by 4 last year to an Arkansas team that reached the Elite 8. America East Conference has covered 4 consecutive first-round games. 2018, that was Maryland, Baltimore County, became the only 16 team to beat a 1. So that conference is a little underrated.
Knocking off the big dogs.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And knocking off Marquette would be pretty big.
That would be a good choice there.
Mm-hmm. But I get 11 points.
Get to 11 points. The one thing that's hard is like either fill the tournament out or fill the bracket out or bet the bet. It's hard to do both for sure because your heart's going to be where your bracket is.
Yeah,
and not making the most logical bets sometimes. So it's good to make the bets early.
Maybe
good job, Joe.
Maybe a good strategy to take the points and put the put the favorite on your
favorites
bracket.
on your brackets and take the points.
Try to land in the middle.
Land in the middle somewhere, and then you have a good 3 weeks of basketball.
Yeah. So I guess Final Four. Who are you gonna have coming out of the East?
I'm going to take Duke. I'm going to
Okay.
take the 5 team. I don't think Duke comes out of the East.
Well, you're in deep trouble because now we've agreed on Alabama and Duke
Okay.
so far.
I'll take Memphis.
There you
I like
go.
Memphis,
There you
yeah.
go. Gator.
Obviously, I have Memphis. My heart's there because I had them at 250-1, and so that'd be a good hit for my $10 bet if Memphis could pull off the big upset and win the national championship.
That'd be a surprise. Okay, what about how about the Midwest? What are your picks and thoughts on that?
Well, I have the Midwest being a Texas showdown. I mean, look, you got Houston, you got Texas, and you got Texas A&M, all capable of winning that bracket there. So Houston, of course, we said Sasser's banged up, but they're so talented that it's going to be. I can see them getting to for sure to this, getting past the Northern Kentucky team. Miami has a tough draw against Drake. Drake, don't be underrated with Drake. They have their average age of that team is 23 years old. So they're very, very experienced ball players. They have averaging 5 steals a game, and they don't turn the ball over. So when you're stealing the ball and you're making assists and you're and you're not turning the ball over, you have a good chance to put an upset. But Vegas looks at it the same way because the spread is only 2.5 on that 5-12.
Yeah, that's scary. I really wanted to take that one, but it was just I needed more points than 2.5.
Right.
I didn't like that, but I certainly give them a really good shot of winning that game.
And then you got Texas A&M playing Penn State. That'll probably be one of the better games too, for sure, because they both shoot the ball very, very well. They're very well coached. Either one of those teams could probably go deep into the tournament. I can see also, but I like Texas. I like Texas coming out of the Midwest.
All right.
They're playing the best ball there right now. They're a very talented team. They've only got 8 losses. Those are earlier in the season,
and they're healthy.
And they're healthy now. And they got coming out of the Big 12. I think the last 2 championships came out of the Big 12.
That's for sure. Gator, Midwest.
Okay, well, first off, everybody, as far as the networks go, are saying that Houston has one of the easiest paths to the. Now, my question is, can they get past Iowa? Now, on my bracket, I put that Houston does get past Iowa, but I'm not confident on that. So I have, in the Sweet 16, I have Houston, Indiana, Xavier, and Texas. So if we're looking at the winner, I'm going to go with Texas because I don't see Houston going all the way. I just don't.
Yes, motivation. Of course, they will host.
I'm big with Big Richard on it.
They'll host the Final Four. So
with Iowa last year, I think that the best bet I'm going to bet. I am definitely going to bet this. Iowa last year won their conference and then went out the first round. And so I see those guys coming back saying playing with a little chip on their shoulder. They're not taking that Auburn team too lightly.
Very good point.
And so they both have similar records. They're both 20-12 and 19-13. Very, very good. But I think the Big 12 showed up in that Big 12 SEC. I think they won like 70% of their games. So the Big 12 is definitely the better conference.
That's great information. Very good information.
Okay. I got some picks.
Okay.
Kent State +4 against Indiana. Mid-American Conference. Their representatives have covered the point spread 6 years in a row in the first round. They won games in 2018, 19, and 21. Of course, there was no tournament in 20. And Akron just lost by 4 to UCLA last year, which was a pretty good team. I think they can beat Indiana. Well, I know we're talking about Texas, but Colgate +13.5 against Texas. Colgate is no stranger to the big dance. They've appeared 3 consecutive times, lost to Wisconsin by 7 last season. Patriot League has covered its first round games 5 out of 6 years. Plus, I like the way the Raiders play. I watched them play. They pass the ball really well. A lot of assists on their scores, and I just like their style.
Okay.
Good.
15 seed. 15. Watch out for the Colgate Raiders.
No, well, they have tartar control. So
okay, you're very close. Very close.
13.5 points. So who wins the Midwest Regional?
I'm staying with the Longhorns, Texas Longhorns.
Texas Longhorns. Okay, you mentioned that. Sorry about that. I'm going to take Houston. We're going to finally differ, but Sasser has to be playing in order for this to work out, and we have no idea to what ability he's at right now.
Yeah, it looked like Houston. I mean, Alabama got the better seed. They took the South over, and then Houston. after that loss to Memphis, they went to the Midwest, and it seems like they got an easier schedule. Like Gator was saying, they got an easier path.
Well, they were supposedly by metrics the best team all year was
Right.
Houston. Of course, they play in a slightly weaker conference.
Don't matter in this tournament.
Yeah. All right. So the Big Bloods, we can't take them every time. So we're going to stick with, we got the Colgate Raiders, and we got, I think Gator has Xavier coming out of there.
No, Texas.
Over
Well,
the,
yeah,
going to
over.
to the Sweet 16. You guys, Xavier
You're
going
correct.
Okay.
I have them beating Iowa State.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. So that leaves one remaining region, the West. Who are your picks against the spread? Your thoughts?
Oh, I love VCU on that 5-12 game. You know, there's 12s are going to be it. So I think VCU upsets St. Mary's, even though I like the way they play basketball. They're very well coached. They're very shoot well from the 3-point line. But I'm going to say VCU upsets. That's when your 12 seed is going to go. I like UCLA coming out for sure. I know we have to look at Bono's injury. Like you said, they lost their conference tournament, so they have a good chance of going deep into the bracket. So I'm saying I'm taking UCLA to come out that side, and TCU to upset Gonzaga in the second round.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I really like that TCU team.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Do you have anything, Gator?
Okay, well, this is the one that's way long shot because I like St. Mary's.
that's a long shot.
And I also like St. Mary's to beat UConn.
Well, wow.
So those are my big long shots right there. As far as TCU, I think TCU will win the first one, but I don't think they're going to get past Gonzaga. And I have Gonzaga and UCLA playing each other in the round of 16.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few people have that.
Kansas, I don't know. What do you guys think of Kansas? They're great, good.
Well, you got
in the Final Four.
Bill Self. You know,
He's healthy again, I guess.
He'll be back on there. I kind of want to see their assistant coach cut down the nets. I think that would have been great if they could have beat Texas.
Of course, they're trying to repeat as national champions. So the question is, yeah, sure, how far they're going to go.
Right.
You know, of course they'll go little ways.
Right, but then the next round after the Sweet 16, if they do beat St. Mary's, Kansas State would be playing either UCLA or Gonzaga or TCU. I see them beating Kansas.
Yeah.
Any one of those guys can beat Kansas.
I would have to say Kansas had a better team last year.
Not this year.
Okay,
This
good.
year.
Okay, I agree with that.
It appears.
Yeah, they're going to get past Howard, of course, but
Illinois? They're going to get past Illinois?
well, then you got
Yeah, I think
Illinois and Arkansas in the next round. So
Arkansas is one of those scary teams. Went to the Elite Eight the last 2 years. Musselman, the coach,
Yes.
the old Nevada guy, he's sprung some surprises in the past.
very experienced coach for the national championship. But I mean, doesn't get any better than Bill Self, a Hall of Fame coach. So I mean, but I think they can upset him. I think Kansas doesn't get past the Elite Eight easy, just like Gator was saying.
Yeah, it's hard to
I think
say.
you can take TCU, UCLA, or Gonzaga over again. So I would say one of those three.
A lot of people have UCLA going.
A lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Well, you have Tiger Campbell, and he's playing great right now. I mean, he had a chance to actually win that game against Arizona. So if they win that game, they beat Arizona twice, and then you'd be like, you can't be different. But I think UCLA has definitely. I mean, because the Elite Eight, I mean, the Sweet 16, it's going to be held in T-Mobile Stadium in Las Vegas for the West, and I think they're very familiar. They play their conference.
Yeah.
They play their conference tournaments there. They play a lot of games there, so they're very, very familiar. That's almost like a home court advantage for them.
Right, I agree with you.
Well, my picks, Kansas minus 21.5 against Howard. That's my other favorite. Yeah, that's the highest spread on the sheet. But the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference is very consistent. Either their teams lose a play-in game or they get blown out in the first round, losing recently by 36, 43, 36, and 23 points. It's the worst conference in the tournament. Wow. So Kansas, I think, just by showing up, will cover that game.
Yeah, their bench players should be able to cover that.
I think
spread. So, yeah.
Grand Canyon, plus 16 against Gonzaga. Give me that 16 points. The Western Athletic Conference does surprisingly well in the big dance. New Mexico State beat Connecticut last year, and they've covered their last 3 first-round games, and they haven't lost by more than 12 in their last 4, and the spread 16. So underrated conference there.
Okay, I like it.
Okay. So who's coming out of the West? I don't know if we already said.
Well, no one's taking Kansas. We already familiar with that. So I'm gonna say UCLA comes out of the West. I think they have the experience, and Juarez is a great, and Tiger Campbell, those two, great combination. And like you said, they've been but they were in the Final Four 2 years ago, and very, very experienced team.
Well, my head tells me that UCLA is going to win it, so I'm going to go Gonzaga.
Okay. Good logic there.
Gonzaga, what about, they were in the top 5 all year, pretty much at the beginning of the year for the rankings of the nationals. So that's not a bad pick. They did stumble a little bit throughout the year. But you look at the record, they're 28-5. Playing in the West. The WCC is not the strongest division for sure, but they had a pretty big game.
Just 2 teams, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Not so good.
Right.
Well, speaking experience, Connecticut, that's going to be my pick. So we got 3 different picks in this region. Connecticut, weren't they in the Final Four last year? I could have sworn they were. But anyway, last year there were I can throw out we already made all our picks, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to just throw out some stats for people who are trying to fill out their brackets and make some bets. Last year there were 9 outright upsets spread wise and 6 seed wise in the first round. Number 1 and 2 seeds were 38 and 42 against the spread, so don't be afraid. In the last 10 years in the first round. So don't be afraid to bet against those big teams.
Okay.
They could get up a bunch of points and just rest some players. It's possible.
Well, UConn had that. They're the 4 seed out of the West. And I remember they were the 7 seed and that was one of the lowest seeds that won the whole thing. So
they are the lowest.
Right. The 7, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Seeds 11 to 14, 43, 34 and 1 against the spread the last 5 years. So don't be afraid to take those higher numbers as well. You see my sheet and what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 straight up upsets in the second round. We're going to talk about the second round a little bit because that'll be gone by the time we have our show next week. And underdogs covered 10 of the 16 games in that second round last year. But that fluctuates from year to year. That's not like a pattern or anything. But
that's why the brackets get ripped up.
Yeah, that's right. Last
so
10
anyway,
tournaments,
enjoy the game and bet some
double-digit seeds have reached
bet some squares.
So 10 and higher, you're going to get a couple of them.
Okay,
for sure,
no question.
12 in the last 5 years, and there's been at least one every year since 2007. So you got to stick one in there, I guess. The 12 seed has reached in 32 of 37 tournaments. So one of those 12s is probably going to get there. When you're picking your national champion, the last 5 have been number 1 seeds, 10 out of the last 13. The others were that 7 you mentioned, a 2 and a 3. Only 3 of 32 didn't win their conference, but 6, as we mentioned, 6 out of the last 8 lost their conference tournament and won a title. So, and also 16 of 18 have worn blue. So Alabama is out and Houston's out. If you go by the blue theory,
you're going to go by the blue. You're going to go by the color of the uniforms. All right, Joe, come on now.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's a coincidence.
Coincidence.
Okay. So, and the Big 12 going for 3 consecutive, as you mentioned. We can thank Butch, the Rainman Roberts, for a majority of those statistics. So who do you like to win it all since we're filling out our bracket?
Gator?
He's thinking.
Oh, God. Well, if you're going off of this bracket, you're going to laugh. So hold on to your hats here. I got Gonzaga top. Okay, Final Four, right? Gonzaga.
We're just going to pick a national champ.
Yeah, Gonzaga, Texas, Duke, maybe even Memphis. I don't know. Let's just go Gonzaga. They can beat UCLA. They can win it all.
The year nobody expects them to do good. Gonzaga comes up and does it. It could happen.
Could happen to Timmy.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go Alabama.
Oh, sure.
I love Brandon Miller. I just love that way that team plays. I mean, you can go Alabama or Texas. I think Texas is playing right now probably with some of the best basketball, and they have the most athletic team. So it would be great to see Alabama, Texas in the final. I would love to see those two. It'd be a great game.
That'd be great.
Again, you're in deep trouble because I am also picking Alabama. Like you said, they got the best player. They're healthy. So let's. I got to go with them.
That sounds good. All right.
I just don't like they're off the field.
I know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how things work out like that, where the bad guy wins sometimes. And
not a lot.
Happened
Not a lot.
Okay.
So Houston 6-1. They're the favorite. That's the longest since they've tied for the longest since they've gone to the 64 team field. So it's a really, really wide open
I
tournament.
also bet Alabama at 10-1 odds. I like that. That was a couple of weeks ago when they lost to Auburn. They went down to 10-1 odds, and
Jumped out good.
Well, numerous props are available. We won't get into those, but go down to your book and check all those out. A couple pages full. We should also mention the women. It's undefeated South Carolina against the world. The Gamecocks are minus 210 to win it all. The undefeated teams going into the tournament have won 9 out of 18 times. So,
they've all been Connecticut.
UConn.
Could have been UConn, but
I don't know if they've all been, but yeah, a majority of
them have been. But I don't know. I just like to see Iowa.
Caitlin Clark.
I like to see her. I think get a national championship. I think that'd be great.
I don't even think they got a number 1 seed. I think they got hosed on that.
Yeah,
they got a 2 seed.
They got a 2 seed.
So they got a little chip on their shoulder. Sounds good. Okay. We'll cover some more women as the tournament goes on. So what's the news in the NBA?
Well, Mr. Glass is hurt again. Kevin Durant twisted his ankle shooting layups before the game. If you had been to win the game and then Kevin Durant goes out, you probably got hosed on that. But the hot team, I think the beast of the East is the Bucks, man. The Bucks are playing great right now. They're 8-2. They have a 3-game lead over to the Celtics for the best record in the East to have home court advantage. New York Knicks are 41-30 now. They've ran off 7 out of their last 10, and they're peaking at the right time. The Sixers, they've won 5 in a row. They're 1 game behind the Celtics in the East, so that's going to be good down the stretch. But right now, as we know, it's all about NCAA, so the NBA is going to take a back seat. But we have to talk a little bit about the West. What about the Kings?
What about those Kings?
What about the Kings? I'm going to give you guys a sink or swim since Gator, you're on a roll on these sink or swims today. So the Kings and the Nuggets are the only team in the West with a winning road record.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine the Kings having a winning road record. So I'm going to sink on that.
You're sinking? What are you thinking there, Gator?
I'm just going to buy the odds, and I'm going to have to say sink just because of the odds.
Well, you guys, it is a sink, but the problem is the Kings are the only one with a winning record.
Oh,
right
they're
now.
the
So
one?
with the Kings are the only team in the West with a winning road record. And let's talk about the Warriors. Their road record is 7-26. They're sitting at number 5, which means they will play the number 4 seed, and that means they will have to go on the road. Have to go on the road. So that is something with you're going to take in the future. And now there's a home game to play great at home.
Yeah.
The Suns, they're going to be without Kevin Durant for another 2 weeks at least. The Lakers are they're 7-3 without LeBron, and they're picking. Anthony Davis is picking up the slack there, so they're sitting right now at the last seed getting in. And I see them having it, but let's give it to Memphis Grizzlies. Well, they've won 3 in a row without John Durant. So
no charges are being filed against him.
No charges are being filed,
but he's still not playing.
He's not playing, seeking therapy of not to play with his gun. So I don't know what kind of therapy you go to that, but no gun therapy. I don't know what you're doing, but anyway. But the problem is, if he had that gun on the plane in the facility, that's against the NBA's and the union. It's a definite violation, and he'll be looked at suspensions. But I'm pretty sure someone will say that was their gun and not his gun.
They gave it to him over at the nightclub, and
exactly.
He went and played with it in the bathroom.
Okay, so that was the wrong gun, but he was definitely playing with a gun on camera. Okay, we'll put it that, and it's just unfortunate because the Memphis are probably. I would like them to come out of the West, truthfully, but now I don't know if they're going to be able to get over this.
Right. That's a big distraction.
Exactly.
Last thing, Fred VanVleet only got fined $30,000 by Commissioner Adam Silver. He's being the gutless worm that he is. David Stern would have laid the hammer down on him. He was complaining about all those officiating and all that stuff, and he got off pretty light. So
he did, and then we had Lopez and somebody from the Kings got in a pretty big wrestling match out there.
That's pretty good too.
That's a pretty good fight. I think even a good hockey player would have said that was a good fight. So
that's unusual for basketball players. So
okay,
National Football League. It's begun free agency. What's happened so far that you find interesting?
Well, I mean, the biggest question is Aaron Rodgers. He's saying he plans on being a Jet. And I thought it was pretty good of Joe Namath saying that he will unretire his number 12 and let him wear 12 if he does go. If he changes from, Lambeau green to gang green out there and the Jets are making some moves. They got Darren Waller to the Jets and then Alan Lazard. So they're making some moves. They're all in. They're putting all their chips in against Miami, who made a trade with the Rams for Jalen Ramsey.
Aaron Rodgers' wish list.
Exactly. And he said the reason he wanted to go is because Nathaniel Hackett from the coach that was fired from the Broncos after 8 games or something like that because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Yeah. But he's a great offensive coach. He said that Aaron Rodgers said that's probably one of his most valuable coaches that he's ever had in his life. So he definitely wanted to go to the offensive coordinator over there.
Okay. Jimmy G on Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
So they take Jimmy G and they take their best receiver and they send him out to the Jets. So I don't know. Maybe he's got don't you think Darren Waller's a top 3 tight end in the league?
Yeah. Well, the draft is deep on tight ends is the way I understand it. So you're going to see the Raiders draft a tight end for sure. Right. They're not going out in free agency and getting one. That's for sure.
Carolina moved up to the number 1 pick. So they're all in. It looks like they're going to take Bryce Young. And they had to give up
CJ Stroud was favored on the sheet.
I like CJ Stroud. I think he's you look at the history of Ohio State quarterbacks going to the NFL. It's not a great pick there compared to, I don't know. It's just Bryce Young's just a little bit small, I think. Yeah. But I think he's a winner for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's played great. And I would take him number 1, but Carolina moved up. They shopped DJ Moore to the Bears. And I think Carolina got off pretty cheap, only giving up DJ Moore in a first-round pick.
First rounds.
I know they switched this year, so they'll still draft the 9th. And then they gave up a second round in 2024. So, and then Sam Darnold to the 49ers. 49ers are finally getting the backup plan together in case their quarterbacks go down. So that's good to see Sam Darnold could have maybe made the difference when they played the Eagles in that game if they had him on the team.
Hard to believe, but I guess it could have happened.
It could have happened. And Lamar Jackson turns down. How much did he turn down, Gator?
$133 million.
Guaranteed.
For 3 years.
3 years.
He needs Deshaun Watson money, apparently.
I think the Ravens are doing everything they can. You can't, when you put that much money on your quarterback, you really can't put much out around him. I think they're bending as far as they can, but it doesn't look like the Ravens are going to break and give him that contract.
No. And Jalen Ramsey is on Miami, not the Rams now. So that's the only other one I noticed that was pretty significant.
For a 3rd-round pick, and the Rams gave up a 1st-round pick for him a couple years ago.
That's right. We should also mention sad news, Bud Grant passing away at the age of 95. Lost 4 Super Bowls, but won 4 Grey Cups in the Canadian Football League. And as a player, he won a championship on the 1950 Minneapolis Lakers. Believe it or not. He was the oldest living NBA champion when he passed away. Just an amazing sports career. Mm-hmm. So
never knew he was a basketball player.
3 sport athlete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
So any thoughts on the XFL? Yeah.
You want to go?
I don't know. I was too busy to make picks, but
let's just run it down. Houston was a 7.5 point favorite. They won 44-16 over Orlando. So the over.
I had that one.
Mm-hmm. Seattle won at home 15-6 over San Antonio.
I had that one.
Joe, you're hating on the Sea Dragons, and they hit you twice.
The other team is really terrible.
St. Louis at home covered their -4. It was 24-11 over
I didn't play
Arlington.
Didn't try that one.
And
DC.
Las Vegas. Boy, they look like the Oakland Raiders to me, Joe, where they can't win a game. And, they have lead in the 4th quarter and can't win, but DC
looks good. DC look really strong.
I agree. So
Any picks this week?
Okay, well, Houston's going to be playing Seattle in Seattle. Houston's a -3. I usually like home dogs, but not this time, Joe. No, I think
it's already up to 3.5.
Oh yeah, you're right. 3.5, correct. That's Thursday, by the way, Joe.
Oh,
we have 2 games Saturday. DC's St. Louis is going to be hosting DC, and DC is the favorite at -2. So I'm going to take the home dog, St. Louis.
I'm not going against DC right now.
That's probably the game to watch.
Yeah, that's a good one
in my eyes. Orlando's going to be in Vegas. Orlando cannot score very many points. Vegas is -7 and don't know how to win. So you tell me, Joe. I'm going to take Orlando with the points, and every time I've done that so far, it's bitten me.
Right. Orlando's terrible.
So I got to go with Orlando on the points because I don't think Vegas can win.
Okay.
And I'm taking Arlington over San Antonio. San Antonio was a favorite, but I think these two teams are kind of a rival. I know it's too early to kind of say that, but I don't think these two teams kind of like each other too much.
That's the fellas going right up against NCAA right now, just playing Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there's another sport everybody's going to be watching, but if you don't like basketball, I guess you can go watch that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So, Gator, who's hot and cold in the National Hockey League?
Boy, these hot teams, you guys. Vegas 7-1, Vancouver 6-1, the Kings 6-1, Dallas 6-2, and Toronto 6-3.
Okay, and who's cold?
San Jose 1-9.
Yeah, well, that's a common theme this year.
Philly 1-8 or 0-4. How are you looking at it? Montreal, kind of the same thing. Montreal was 0-7, but they did beat Boston last night, so they're 1-7.
Ouch.
And Chicago's 2-7, and Buffalo's 2-6.
Nashville's making a pretty good little run right now too. They've won 7 out of their last 10.
Yes,
I didn't see how your picks went last week. I forgot to look.
7-3.
7-3.
So 70%.
Okay.
It puts me at 139 and 71.
So
60 something.
67%, 66%, something like that. So who do you like this week?
Okay, Thursday I have 2 games. I'm taking the Kings over Columbus, Vegas over Calgary. Friday I have 1 game. It's Buffalo over Philly. Saturday I have 3, and I did hit my 3 last Saturday, by the way.
All right, nice 3-teamer.
Boston is going to be at Minnesota. Carolina is going to be at Philly. So I'm taking Boston and Carolina. And Tampa Bay over Montreal, and that's going to be in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Sunday I have 1 game. I'm going to take Vegas over Columbus. And Monday I have 3 teams. I have Pittsburgh over Ottawa. Now Ottawa's playing a little bit better. Colorado over Chicago. That's in Colorado. And Edmonton over San Jose.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe.
Well, that 3-teamer on Monday is perfect because you take all of his points on the first week of basketball. Take those points, take all that money, and put it on a 3-teamer. Take Pitt, Colorado, and Edmonton, and you can have a nice little parlay.
Absolutely. So, all right. Thanks, Gator.
Boston did win they clinched the playoff spot.
Already.
There's the first team.
And Carolina did.
They have 50 wins.
Carolina lost one of their best players to injury last week, too. So, NASCAR, I can just quickly kind of run through. I guess it's Hendrick and Byron. The Chevy is dominated again.
Yeah, Byron won 2 in a row.
Yes, 2 races in a row. He won 10-1 odds. So that's pretty dominating stuff. So what's next is Atlanta, where I guess Chevys have dominated there too.
And Byron won last year. So, I mean.
My mind going with Ross Chastain. He got second last year in this race.
Okay.
So some good matchups on these guys is I like Daniel Suarez, who came into 4th last year over Erica Marola. Martin Truex, you get even money against Harvick. And then you got Christopher Bell -105 over Ryan Blaney. And if you want to say if you say William Byron's very dominant lately, you can get him at -115 over Kyle Busch.
All right.
If you didn't want to bet the winner.
Yeah, but they're going to be at Atlanta, though. This is a weird track. The fastest mile track.
Okay.
Something like that.
Matchups are easier to hit than win in the race. That's for sure.
I agree.
And William Byron last year in that race, he led 111 of those laps. So he's definitely, that's one of his favorite places.
So, Gator, does anybody beat Max Verstappen in Saudi Arabia this week?
Nope.
He wins again. He won there last year, too.
Right now, the Ferraris did get 2nd and 3rd, and Red Bull came in 4th. But how can you go against Max? You can't, and not until he shows he can't do it.
It's probably like a -180 or something. So maybe we can parlay that to some hockey, maybe. Have you guys been watching the World Baseball Classic at all?
Of course.
Well, quickly, is there anything interesting that happened?
Oh, I'm going to go real fast through these ones that are upsets. Australia beat Korea 8-7 at a +430. On Saturday, Colombia beat Mexico at a plus 360. Sunday, Mexico beat USA 11-5. Now that was at a plus 225, but that was huge. And the biggest one was Monday. Great Britain beat Colombia 7-5 at a plus 460, and almost won last night.
Great Britain. Watch out for the Brits.
They're out, but you wait. They're coming.
I like Japan. Why isn't Japan playing?
Because they're done.
They're done. They play their.
Cuba and Italy have advanced from Pool A, and Japan and Australia have advanced from Pool B.
Right. So that means that Japan's going to be playing Italy and Cuba's going to be playing Australia. And as we're speaking right now, as far as the other two pools, they're going on as we're speaking.
Okay. And Puerto Rico got an 8-inning perfect game against Israel.
Wow.
10-0, 10-run rule.
Yeah, and Dominican Republic did the same thing, 10-0. But I'm not sure if it was a no-hitter or a perfect game, but it was 10-0 as well.
That run rule. Major League Baseball, Yankees outfielder Harrison Bader out 6 weeks. Carlos Rodon, the pitcher they just got from the Giants, he's out. And the Mets pitcher Jose Quintana out 3 months. Thank you, Rockin, Ronnie, McKinnon, for World Baseball and Major League Baseball information. And Gator, who's going to win the Six Nations rugby this week? Obviously,
well, it's a Grand Slam, Joe.
Ireland gets the Grand Slam.
Yeah, they have to.
Over England, who looked terrible last week against France. They lost 53-10.
Now, Scotland's playing Italy. I'm going to take Scotland. France is playing Wales. I'm going to take France. And Ireland's going to play England, and I'm taking Ireland.
Oh, okay. All the road teams won last week, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was interesting.
So look for Ireland to finish off that Grand Slam.
And the world's number one for a reason.
So now it's time for the moments we've been waiting for. Stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end, something went horribly wrong. They ended up being losers. It's a segment we call You Got Hosed.
You Got Hosed.
Okay. Well, my host story, I took Boston Bruins 3 times last week and lost 2 out of the 3. And right now they are sitting 1-3 in their last 4 games. So I'm going to have to say that's the first time all year it's been like that. So I think I got hosed a little bit, Joe.
I didn't see that coming either. Being a Bruins fan, especially. And my You Got Hosed story comes from the UNLV Boise State game last Thursday. UNLV was down 3 points, getting 5 with seconds left. UNLV shoots the ball with 3 seconds left. All they have to do is miss, and the clock runs out. And UNLV covers, but no, they make the shot and send the game into overtime. Naturally, the running Rebels then run out of gas in OT and lose by 11.
I see that a lot this year, Joe. In the overtime, the dog is not going to
win. Yeah. Well,
dog's not going to win. The under's not going to win.
Thursday, if you took UNLV +5, you got hosed.
You got hosed.
So that's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, all our contributors, our editor, producer, and engineer, Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.